So winter is officially here, and how do I know that? Well, the resident largemouth bass of the California Delta have been telling me that on a daily basis for about the last 10 days. So with that, let's take a look at a few pictures, then we'll get right into the report. Hi everyone, thanks for joining me. You're watching In Deep on the Delta. This is the weekly fishing report for December 4th. Let's start off with a little news. This Saturday, December 6th, we have the Clear Lake Christmas Crappie Shootout, 7 a.m. blast off out of Clear Lake Oaks. This is a crappie fishing tournament. If you have any questions, call Marlon at 510-691-0586. I've got a report from Marlon about the fishing up there, the crappie fishing. It's been good. Marlon suggests going out to your nearest dock, deep docks that go out into at least 15 feet of water. That's where you're going to find the schools of fish. He's also finding secondary schools of fish off of the first drop-off out in about 30 to 40 feet of water. White and chartreuse crappie jigs are doing the trick. Most of the fish are males between 1 and 2 pounds. They're not quite yet getting those big, 3.5, 4 pound crappie that Clear Lake is famous for here in the winter. But the fishing is very good. So like I said, if you have any questions, you want to get into that crappie tournament, give Marlon a call. He'll give you all the details. I also got a report from Dave out at Clear Lake Outdoors. He's reporting the bass fishing is just fair. The guys that know what they're doing are starting to come out throwing the big baits. They're throwing A-rigs and glide baits. They're starting to catch a few of the bigger fish, but if you're looking to just go out and have some fun, afternoons are better. Let the water warm up. You run around junk fishing. You're going to catch fish between 1 and 3 pounds and probably get your rod bent a little bit more than if you're going out there looking for the monster. And if you have any questions, you can call Clear Lake Outdoors. They'll give you up-to-date information. That is 707-262-5852. So I also talked to Aaron Jones out at Central Valley Bait and Tackle. Talked a little bit about Don Pedro. Pretty light pressure up there. He doesn't have a whole lot of information from guys that have been on the river in this last week due to the Thanksgiving weekend. He plans on being up there shortly, but if you want to get a hold of Aaron to get any last minute up-to-date information, if you're heading up to Don Pedro, give him a call out at Central Valley Bait and Tackle. That's 209-312-9417, and I'm going to talk with Aaron next week, and I'm sure he's going to have some up-to-date information on what's going on up at Don Pedro. With that, let's get into what's been going on here in the Delta. We'll start off with some river conditions. We're finding low to mid-50s water temps, and I'm talking about in the Central Delta here. 52 to 54, 55, maybe 56 degrees. 3 to 5 feet visibility here in the Central Delta, a little less down south. There's kind of what I've seen is an increase in floating vegetation being pushed down the river. Not terrible, but it's cleaning itself out a little bit. We're having a lot of high tides, and this water coming down from the lakes and the rain that we've had, it's pushing some floating vegetation down the river. Not terrible, not going to keep you off the water. It has been cold and mornings have been foggy, so dress appropriately. It's definitely winter out there, and if you come out without a coat, you're going to know it. So with that, let's get into the stripers, and this could be the high point of the report, and it comes from Jeff Suhu. Jeff has been fishing out west, and he is still just slaying good numbers of schoolie-sized stripers. Jeff is drifting live bait. He's saying that usually on a daily basis, he's limited out by 9. They finish out their day by about 11 o'clock and just, as many stripers as you want to catch. But good schoolie size fish, they're in good shape, and if you're looking to go out and catch a few fish and you want to go out with Jeff, give Jeff a call at Suhu Sport Fishing. That is 925-899-4045. And Jeff is seeing the fish come come a little closer to the Delta. He has been out from Sassoon, Honker, Grizzly, out in that area. Right now he's fishing closer to Pittsburgh, Antioch area. So the fish are moving in, but they're not moving in as fast as we would like to see them. I talked with Joe from Core Fishing, and Joe has been out, and he reports, he says fair to good, but it sounded to me when I talked to Joe more like it's on the fair side. He's picking up a few fish. He says the schools that he's finding are small schools and they are moving fast. He's catching most of his fish fishing over flats with either A-rigs or glide baits. Topwater bite has not been out there for Joe, and I can tell you it hasn't been out there for a lot of people. I've talked to several people that were getting some topwater fish up until about maybe a week or 10 days ago, but the topwater bite has not been great. Joe's fishing flats 3 to 6 feet deep. He's catching a fish or two on each one of his flats out there, and then he has to move. So the days of last year where we can go out and sit on a flat for an hour or two and catch X amount of fish just aren't happening right. It's been tough this year. We're still hoping that those fish that are out west maybe flood into the system, give us some, mid to late winter better fishing. But with that, striper fishing, I guess, can be, if you're out past the Antioch Bridge, it's pretty darn good. Here in the Central Valley, it's fair to decent depending on what day you're out there. I did talk to Rob Cloutier from the Bass Hole. Rob also has mentioned that his people coming into the shop that are catching stripers, most of them are heading west, and that seems to be the story of 2025 so far. So if you're looking for stripers, head west of the Antioch Bridge. You'll have much better luck than I think you will sitting here in the Central Delta. With that, let's get to the largemouth bass, and boy, that's getting to be a little bit of a sad story. It's not terrible, but it's a little bit of a sad story. With that water temperature getting down to the low 50s, it's really taken a toll on the largemouth bass bite. I want to go over a Black Friday tournament they had. I believe it was out of Tracy Oasis. They had 23 boats, and congratulations to Christian and Barry, Christian Ostrander. I don't know Barry's last name. They went out, they won the tournament with 20.15 pounds. That is an excellent bag, and we're going to get more on that in just a minute. The problem with the rest of the tournament was that out of the 23 boats, 17 of them did not weigh in. There were only 4 boats that had a limit over 10 pounds. How does that bode well if you are an average angler or a weekend angler coming out to catch some bass? Could be pretty tough fishing conditions. So how did Christian and Barry get their fish? They ran a long way. They picked up fish punching, and they picked up fish on lipless cranks. And it sounds like a great day, and any of us that pull a 20-pound bag out anytime here on the Delta, you've had a pretty good day. So I talked to Christian about numbers. The numbers weren't there for him. They had to go out and work hard for every fish. I don't know how many fish they caught, but it was probably not more than 7 or 8 fish, I would imagine. They had one fish that was a little over 6 pounds. And Christian said, we just had to run and run and run and fish hard to get those 5 fish. And he didn't sound like a guy that just caught a 20-pound bag and won a tournament. He had to work very hard for him. But all of us know Christian catches a lot of 20-pound bags out there. He will be on the Delta guiding, so if you are interested in calling Christian, maybe going out on a guided trip, and Christian does have what we're calling winter rates or off-season rates, so his rates have dropped a little bit. He can be reached. This is Christian Ostrander at 209-648-3778. So give Christian a call if you want to go out and have him take you around, show you the Delta, show you how to catch some fish. There was another little Thursday tournament out there, the South Delta Rats, and they had 6 boats. They had a 15-pound bag that won the tournament. I think they had a couple guys that didn't weigh in, and I think they only had one other boat over 10 pounds. a big congratulations to Dennis and Mike. I know 15 pounds doesn't sound like a great feat on the California Delta, but right now that's something that you need to be congratulated about. So with that, 2 tournaments, you can see what's going on. It's been very difficult out there. My take, I've been out and I've been doing some, I'll say, multi-species trip, more largemouth bass than stripers. I have noticed a big decrease in the activity level of both largemouth and stripers. I can tell you on about a 5-hour day, I have been averaging 1 to 2 stripers, and generally one striper will be, I'll say 20 to 23 inches. One striper will be just under size limit, under 18 inches. And I'll get 10 to 12 largemouth bass. Out of those 12 largemouth bass, one of them will be in the 2.5 to 3 pound range. Maybe 3 or 4 of them will be just barely 14-inch keepers, and the rest of them are undersized, and I am not getting a lot of bites and losing a lot of fish. Those are hard to come by bites, and they are all over the board. I'm catching fish in 1 foot of water by flipping jigs and things like bronco bugs right up into the tulies at high tide. As the water goes out, I'm fishing the outside edges of the submerged vegetation. I have been getting a few more fish on A-rigs. That's also what's picking up my, not only the largemouth bass, but the stripers. I'm throwing jerk baits. I'm throwing that stunted jerk bait. Doesn't matter what color. And by the way, I talked about Joe from Core Fishing. He's also throwing A-rigs. And one other thing that Joe mentioned was, doesn't matter the color. As long as it's kind of in that whitish color that looks something like a shad or, you know, any type of bait fish, don't worry too much about the colors if you're throwing A-rigs. But the A-rigs are producing both largemouth bass and stripers. I have caught a couple fish after I talked to Christian. He told me that he was picking them up on lipless. I have caught a couple fish on lipless, but nothing is on fire. Just go out and, you know, lower your expectations. You can come out here and still get bit. You can catch a few fish. It's probably going to stay this way, like I say, for another couple months. It's probably going to get worse as that temperature drops. But with that being said, we'll keep you guys informed on what's going on out here. We're going to talk about more and more probably out at Don Pedro. We're going to talk about Clear Lake. We're also going to talk about crappie fishing up there at Clear Lake too, because if you haven't been up there to fish crappie, man, the next 3 months or so, it should be on fire up there, and you're going to catch some fish in the 2, 3, and very close to 4 pound fish. It's an amazing crappie fishery. So with that, I want to thank you guys for keeping up with me, and thank you guys especially that are sending in the reports. So until next week, go out there, catch some fish, have some fun, be safe, and we'll see you guys at next week's report. Thanks for watching.